лайв коси. Мгм. Hello. Здраво. Привет. Howdy. Hola. And so on. I have moved my streaming time just a bit, like an hour early this time. It was something I had to do, I guess, for the future rather, because it seems that I have finally. By the way, how's the sound? Is it loud enough? Let me double check. The chat is not. Let's check the chat. Is it working? Typing something in. It appeared in my chat. Can you guys like send at least something, because something happened with the chat. It didn't work at all. Live chat. Yeah, I'm not getting any messages still. Hello, hello, hello. I am double checking the chat to see whether it's working. So I still need someone to send something. I'm not getting any messages. I hope it's not. Well, I hope it's lagging right now. Anyway. Pum 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 pum. I reloaded the page in case something happened. So anyway, yeah, lucky, I guess, for me. I'm not sure. I have found some kind of a job as of now, as well as my fiance. So things are starting to rise up in one way or the other. I've also heard this thing happening to Turkey with the whole earthquake and stuff. I have a couple of people there that I know and I've met, and as well as some people that I've heard about from my, fiance and friends. And it seems that most of them have everything in order, but some of them have some stuff. Well, it broke. It has broken some stuff, but no lives have been lost. At least those that I know about. Of course, this is very unfortunate, but this reminds me of a couple of things. One of those was a couple of years back. I was going to the, what's it called, like an additional lecture. It was a free lecture for my sister and at a university, and it was given by a professor who was working back in the USA in it was like an government organization that was developing and studying ways to predict earthquakes, and as well it has been they have been trying to develop, well, the government rather was not this person per se, to develop ways to control earthquakes, and well, they had some progress. One of the reasons why they existed as well was because they were studying weather in general, and whether they would other countries would develop any such a thing, and they would know it ahead of time whether they did, because to test such weaponry it requires to physically test them, because theoretically many things can work, but it's just practice is quite different most of the times, many times. Anyway, so they were studying all these things with tectonic plates and the waves, the seismo activity that has been acting out in the world. And the thing is that back, as this guy says, as a professor, so I'm as the story I heard, I'm giving it back to you as with as less butchery as could have happened in my mind in regards to the facts. Anyway, the professor told that he has known and seen that there was a way back then, like in the 80s or 70s to 80s, to predict earthquakes, not just hours before they began, but like almost a whole day at least, like 24 hours plus. And then, back then, even some things happened that USSR was talking to Japan, and there was some conflict back then. I'm not sure. I don't exactly remember what happened, and didn't study it that much. But there was some conflict between them, and USSR used this technology as a way to press onto Japan, and then made them believe that USSR had this weaponry already developed to control earthquakes. And they have predicted what they said. They predicted an earthquake that was going to happen in nearby Japan, and it would have made like huge waves and tsunamis and stuff. So they did, and they told them, like, the USSR told Japan, like, if you wouldn't do what we want to do, what we want you to do, then we would unleash like this seismic, like a bomb, onto you. And apparently it might have worked back then, at least the first time that it happened. But overall, this whole project has been scrapped completely, because there was no serious progress done with regards to controlling this whole process. And it was it was around the Cold War era, and everyone was trying to find as much and prototype as much of unique weaponry they could. And apparently USA has also had these projects. So all in all, at least these two countries could predict and tell to the whole world whether an earthquake would hit or not. And now this is almost non-existent. It's like non-existent. It's not very popular. And this guy is, he is telling this story that he now, the only way he can work is to teach others with these lectures and stuff, because governments are not very interested in this, and as well as the fact that it doesn't help the whole bureaucracy and all the other stuff. It's simpler to do nothing and predict nothing, and for people to, kind of have these someone to blame for, like, because if an earthquake would have happened and the government would have known, and everyone would have known that the government knows, government is the government would be under much pressure. So it's not very interesting, apparently, as he says. And the other thing is that there are many animals apparently that feel the earth and those earthquakes coming like hours and hours before they actually happen. And nowadays people have little respect to animals overall. People believe in themselves, possibly way too much. So they now, I guess, reap. This is one of the ways people reap these horrible rewards. This is very unfortunate. I mean, this is like very sad. You know, the whole world is weird right now. My heart goes out to the people affected by this. I wonder what the world could have been if people would respect nature and listen to nature that is around them, as well as animals, and we would live some way in with respect to those who have lived here before us, like the maybe it's just utopia, you know, but I could imagine like buildings that are not just plain boxes, but buildings that unite with the whole surrounding, and they allow greenery on them, and they won't fall apart when like an earthquake hits or anything like this, and mold wouldn't develop all over it in the places that it shouldn't be. And like there are, it's raising in popularity buildings like this, like eco-friendly, and I'm not talking exactly about using solar energy, but I guess this is this might be one of the ways to improve overall things. But I mean, to the material level, you could I've seen this like a short documentary about with the methods that Rome has used back then, like 2000 years ago, to build the roads, to build well, basic buildings, the concrete, the roads. Probably many of you have heard very rough. They're just stones laid on a flat surface, it seems, but it's not how it was, apparently, because scientists have been studying what they used back then, and apparently what we see is not exactly what it looked like before, like 2000 years before that. And the road consisted of many layers, and we see just the hardest of them that have stayed. Well, it's 2000 years old, I mean. Like 2000 years old. What do you expect? Like anything you see right now, would it even persist for this amount of time? Like the concrete buildings we live in. It's cheap and fast. That's for sure. And in Russia especially, we apparently we use similar recipes for like concrete as in USA, for example, and in Russia. And of course, with all the money being just stolen from the budget to building any building practically, it decreases the quality significantly. It's apparently about 25% of the budget that actually goes into the work and the building blocks and stuff, and 75% just gets stolen, and for these guys to buy like new cars and new houses for themselves and stuff. But anyway, back then, as well, in Rome, they have used like this quicklime that is the classic element of the recipe of concrete. And so this quicklime, it's if you add it to water, it starts like bubbling, taking into this water into it, and it starts a exothermic reaction, and heat comes out as well. And like, I'm not, that's the gist of it, right? And the idea is that you mix that up with all the other ingredients of sand and stones of different sizes, smaller but not so big for the concrete itself. But the other thing that they did, they added one more ingredient that they have added before that made it practically self-regenerating, like literally self-regenerating concrete. And it sounds like science fiction or magic, but it's just plain and simple chemistry that was known back then. Apparently they have made it up by themselves. Back then Rome was very advanced in many ways, even though it has fallen eventually. But anyway, this ingredient is the same quicklime as previously, but the idea is that they would put in like huge chunks of it, and really huge, and they would mix it quickly and lay it as is. So when the concrete settles, these chunks don't disintegrate into mush, and they stay like these chunks inside. And once the concrete cracks, and these pieces are quite big in comparison to all the other stones that are in it, so most of the time it cracks around these limestone quicklime pieces, not limestone, quicklime pieces. And once they crack, the problem with the cracking of concrete is not that as well it doesn't look good. It's just because water gets in it, and water makes those cracks even bigger. So it would, like freeze and unfreeze, and it would like wedge concrete apart. So in Roman 2000-year-old concrete, they would add all these steps, right? And water would get into those cracks. Like, no magic here, but it gets to the quicklime, and quicklime starts becoming it becomes, it solidifies. So if the reaction starts, it expands a bit, fills those cracks in as much as needed, and solidifies into like a hard calcium something, like a rock. And now the whole crack is repaired from inside. Like, this is amazing stuff in my mind. It still shocks me, like things that are being found, and we think ourselves to be so advanced right now, but it doesn't seem like it. And back then it almost looked like alchemy or something. Well, magic basically. But in fact, we can understand these processes completely now, but we still don't use them. And so all this technology, and as well I've heard another story, like it was in the South America. These there existed like in the jungle civilizations that, and their ruins were found and are being found regularly right now, with all the technology and as well as the deforestation that is happening. And the reason why they weren't found for such a long time was because, and it's not just like a civilization, it was a huge civilization of like millions of people, apparently. I mean as big as London, but way back. And I mean London like in Middle Ages and 17th century, up to 17th century. So it's pretty huge and very popular city, right? And the reason why it hasn't been found is because before that, because the all the greenery has been removed, the trees and whatnot, and the trees and greenery has grown so significantly around this area that no one would even think to go there. It's like so overgrown. What is the reason? Like, what's the point? And it's almost definitely an area that has never been deforested or anything like this. That's what people generally would think. It's like logical, but the idea is that it's such a fertile land in this area around these buildings, and these stone built like monuments and buildings of that age, of Aztecs and before even the Aztecs and Olmeca and all these civilizations. they would build and unite their buildings in a way that they would have these very populated areas with integrated with fields where they would use human feces and stuff, and all the other leftovers, and to make this extremely fertile soil that they would use for years and years and years, and it would regenerate from all this stuff that they would put into it. And they didn't have this, just genius technology that we have now, for example, like all the stuff during the First World War and before it, when I don't exactly remember the name, but this German scientist who was developing and developed a chemical reaction to make our commonly used fertilizer. And then afterwards, this guy he got the Nobel Prize, I think, and then a couple of people afterwards renounced him and didn't accept their Nobel Prize because of this guy, because he was a Nazi. After he has developed this thing, this fertilizer and the technology to create this fertilizer, and it's a huge thing, and this is why he got the Nobel Prize that nobody wants to really talk about, and he's like infamous, this guy. Back then times were like so hard in the terms of fertilizing land that like literally people would wage wars on a reason, on the grounds of fertilizer. The lack of fertilizer. They were what's it called, like islands of bird dung in the sea, so where birds would stay and relax. At first it would be like a small stone maybe, or something like floating or anything like this, and over time, like more and more birds would see and relax on this stone, and they would do their stuff, and they do it quite frequently apparently, and it would develop into this like bigger and bigger island of dung, literally. Like it would grow huge over decades and hundreds of years, and people would wage wars in the sea over who gets this island to mine for this resource, because it's a very fertile fertilizer. And there have been laws in USA and all the other countries that have access to the seas and whatnot. It's very logical, because these animals would throw out of their bodies stuff they can't really digest, and partly digested stuff, and it goes from where? It goes from the sea, from the fish they ate, and fish eat a lot of stuff inside, so it's like a whole cycle and you get to the most important part and you just mine it and you throw it over your fields. And back in that time, so people would fight over shit basically. And then this guy comes up and he creates a way to make fertilizer, and it was needed, like really needed. So this guy became, from selling this stuff and patented, he got a patent on it, right? And this is how he became very popular and very rich. And afterwards he became a Nazi and developed the gas that would kill millions of Jews and all the other stuff. And his wife would shoot herself, and all the other not so fun stuff afterwards. He made a wrong turn somewhere, definitely. But all in all, so it's a huge thing happened, right? This guy makes this fertilizer, and it is the reason why we have so much people on Earth right now. Like, it is the reason. It boomed the population of Earth. You could see it on the statistics. Even though there was a war and like millions and millions of people have died and all the other atrocities that have happened, still booming population. That is the reason. Yeah, well, penicillin as well, but not as much as food, because we were really dying from the lack of it. Anyway, back then, people, like thousands of years ago, they had developed a way to use something, well, somewhat of a similar process, and in the jungle they had no access to the seas, and they developed a way to do this. I mean, if that isn't shocking, I don't know what is. The way that so many animals, I mean, they have a completely different system, and we presume that they are dumb. Like, we think that a dog is quite smart, but it's very common to think that, for example, that a cat can't be as smart because, well, it doesn't answer our calls and stuff, but it's a completely different animal. And if we think that we can and know how smart a dog is, even though we have literally used them for hundreds and hundreds of years, like thousands of years basically, and we have made them into a almost a completely different species from their ancestors of wolves, right? We still presume that they are quite stupid, and we are we are quite smart, apparently, and cats are stupider than dogs. And then we have this guy, like, who is very popular, who amazed me when I was a child, the Russian performer. Many of you, I guess, some of you would have heard about him, the Kuklachov. and he had a brother, and I think the older one who has created this whole show with cats. So this guy performs circus acts, as if like small circus acts with cats. No dogs, no like lions or anything like this, but they do so many things. And it's hard to imagine a dog would do something like this, but this guy would make them walk like on front legs, back legs, like jumping from one side to the other, and coming up to him and like balancing balls and stuff, and like look him up. He's a legend of Russian performance acting, I guess. This is one of the like things about Russia is Kuklachov, apart from ballet. Maybe world-renowned guy. So I've seen him do his stuff. I've seen his show a couple of times, like I guess 2 times, while I was a kid, unfortunately, and I lately has been walking past this theater, and I thought, maybe we should go there and see it. And then all this stuff happened, with the war. Anyway, but that's cats and dogs that live with us and have been living with us for quite a long time. But there are other animals, such as like birds and I don't know what's it called, like a sparrow, for example. I've seen a YouTube channel of a girl that has rescued a sparrow that has his beak very well. It was crooked in such a way that it would the bird would die. So she rescued this sparrow, and now she's living with it for like 2 years or so. I'm not exactly sure, but she fed him and stuff. He was like very tiny, and she has developed this relationship with him. So they would do stuff together. They would go around the house and outside, and she would call him by his name, and he would immediately fly to her and look her in the eyes and see what does she want him to do, and she would say things to him, and he would understand and react to those things. He would play games, like she would throw a stick, for example, and he would come back with it, and all the other stuff. And it's like a tiny bird, like it's yay big. You would imagine it's like brain, whether its size really matters. Like we humans really think size matters in many ways, but apparently it's very tiny. It has a very tiny brain, and it still does, well, basically all the things, at least all the things that a common dog does. So how would we imagine it, how smart would it be? And I'm not even this thing that another video I've seen, there are studies being done on spiders. Like it was a kind of a jumping spider, I think. But anyway, apparently they might be seeing dreams while they are sleeping, like literal dreams where they would imagine things happening and play them out in their heads like a spider, such a tiny creature. So I mean, in some ways we definitely are started off on a wrong from a wrong leg. Is that the correct way? From a wrong hand. I'm trying to translate it from Russian. Anyway, yeah, with beasts and animals, we have somewhat of a broken relationship right now. And there are videos of these birds and dogs, like dogs howling like crazy. The sound that they are making is just it's like, I don't know, someone might think that a demon is trying to come out or whatever. I don't know, something religious definitely. And they would do that like a couple of hours before the earthquake hits. Like there are outside these CCTV cameras footage with sound of them doing all this. And then these buildings would collapse, you know. And birds would fly like these what do we call like this, with these huge amounts, making these weird shapes in the sky. And all of the nature, you know, the active one was telling something already. And I'm imagining things like that we could live with respect to these processes, to these, you know, animals and such, and trees and mushrooms as well, because we like know nothing about mushrooms, like nothing, even less than we know about the seas and oceans. And one of those like mushrooms did save like millions of people during First and Second World War, and still is saving. Yeah, and there are some studies, but there is no. People are still just trying to imagine very basic stuff and understand it, like this mycelium that would grow like thousands of kilometers in size as a single network under these forests and inside them, and integrating into the trees and such. And they would give like separate what are they, I don't know, like fruits of the forests, I guess. And they are completely different in tastes, in effects. Some of them would like kill you almost immediately or within like hours, and some of them will cure you, like literally. This is quite crazy. There even is a theory that is quite controversial right now, that the whole of Christian mythology was possibly developed under the influence of a mushroom for example, that helped people see the systems that surround us, that we forget, that we might have seen when we were young, just freshly born, undeveloped. And over time we develop these ways to filter information, so we won't like overload every second, because there's like crazy amounts of information every millisecond, and we just ignore it. Like our smell, for example, we feel not the smell of the area that we are in, but we smell the differences that happen in the area that we are in. So it has an evolutionary benefit, of course, because if something new appears, we would like immediately react to it. But our brain actually is a very complicated thing, as well as brain of other animals. So I believe it's possible to live a more unified, maybe slightly utopic, but way. Oh, by the way, my chat started working. Hello, Lala. No, I am not affected in any way. Lucky, I guess. But thank you for asking. And a couple of people in who I know from Turkey, I've been there a couple of times, and I still have some people that I talk to, and they are shocked, like seriously shocked by this. But lucky for them, I guess none of them really got damaged, just the goods. Romans also invented central heating. Well, I didn't know about that. I've never heard about it. Yeah, I know about the pole pipes, and yeah, this is one of the things that just shocked me. Show more of yourself. I don't know, by the way, what time you've sent this, so I have I guess I'm showing more of myself right now. Me, the picture looks fine to me. Okay, that apparently happened at the beginning. Hello, on the wrong foot. Yes. Okay, good. Hello, Baldrick, and hello, Jan. Happy to see you guys here, because my chat did a little something from the beginning. Once again, but I knew that something would that you've written something else, and anyway, so Bian. Yeah, that's no problem. Hello there. Yeah, this is kind of strange with the whole notification thing, because I moved the stream 1 hour beforehand, 1 hour forward or backwards. I don't know how to explain it, but anyway, at least it wasn't just me. I guess I was just rambling, my thoughts. to tell you the truth, and a couple of things were going on, and good things, lucky for me. And I haven't developed much of a plan for today's stream, but I guessed it would be interesting to ramble about what my thoughts are exactly on this recent situation. Yeah, no problem, Ian. Thank you, Lala. Yeah, I hear a couple of things about all this stuff. I like to. My knowledge overall is not very deep. I have always had a lot of interest in knowing some unique and new perspectives of stuff, but I guess I didn't have this I don't know, maybe reason enough for me to pursue one particular way until I became a grown-up in a way, I guess. I was in school I had this like a C student, as they would be called in US, but anyway, this a lot of stuff is being channeled into my head right now from multiple dimensions, I guess, of human knowledge. And well, I'm so glad that internet exists. I don't know, it's such a powerful thing if used correctly, of course, and even if used incorrectly, it's still extremely powerful, but it's just not very efficient in the long term. For example, if you want to chill, relax, and enjoy yourself, like internet. Okay, my internet connection just dropped for some reason, but it's back online. So yeah, it's a very powerful thing. YouTube is amazing. I have been using it for at least 13 years, possibly more, and extensively and intensively have been using it for at least 10 years. And the first couple of years I was using just for fun, but afterwards, after the development and of the algorithm, a couple of years passed, I understood it just a bit how it worked and started making stuff like a my own TV, as of so it would give just the information that I would be interested in, and I wouldn't, to develop myself in some way. So I would remove and dislike and unsubscribe from stuff that isn't helping me in the long term, and would like other stuff that is interesting for me, like literally interesting, not just it's okay. Great interview with Ilya, by the way. I definitely look forward to the next one. Thank you for watching this. Have you guys, by the way, watched the whole thing? Is it like interesting to see through? Because I might just make apart from making a new one, we are definitely into this, and both of us, Ilya and me, and I'm really happy to see that you guys were interested in it. He's an uh, he's an interesting guy in some ways. He's in Russia. It's very centralized. Everything is centralized in Russia. The government, the economy. So Moscow like consumes almost everything. It's a giant city that exists because of all the other people providing resources to it. And everywhere else people exist in this like almost limbo, like everything is back in USSR, but still of the aging continues of buildings and people, but everything is stuck. Everything goes very slowly, very slowly. So, and it hits people, everything, just differently. I'm not even talking about style and movies and music and culture overall. It's extremely slow in these places, but all the other like improvements, it's everything goes worse, like everywhere. So this guy lives in Chelyabinsk his whole life, and I've never been there. It was interesting, and we would he's a very progressive guy, for like extremely progressive. He's like the best of Chelyabinsk, literally. Most people in Russia everywhere are like bricks, and they feel like bricks, like hard but very simple, and they expect, like, I guess, the government to use them as a brick in a way. So to see a guy like this, and there's like another guy from Chelyabinsk as well, and he is a young father as well. He's not very, he's English is bad, but so I've decided to invite Ilya. But I guess maybe I would invite like a couple of guys at the same time, and we would translate it as as we go. We'll see. But it was interesting, and I'm always happy to see open-minded people from Russia. I don't know, it's always nice to see open-minded people, but to see someone from Russia is it's maybe you don't know, but it's a different feeling, because the amount of pressure that is put onto these minds to stay as they are is crazy. And I was lucky to be born in a quite open-minded family, and luckily for me, my well-being was in check, and everything was quite in order. I had a father, had a mother. They even had money, which is not a small thing during the 90s. Like, I was born 1995, so it was a tough time back then. But anyway, there are certain regions in US that suffer from a lack of investment too. Probably not to the degree that some regions in Russia do, but the Rust Belt. Rust Belt. Appalachia reservations. Appalachia, and reservations. Reservations, you mean of Indians? Appalachia. What's Appalachia? I will Google that. Appalachian Mountain. It's a region. Thank you. Okay. It's a very big region. I am seeing some beautiful shots of these train. Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Like, this looks awesome. Am I looking at the right thing? Appalachia, yeah. Cultural region in the eastern United States that stretches from the southern tier of New York State. Okay, that's a little something to read about for me at a later time, I guess. Yeah. Back to you guys. UK also has very depressed and left behind towns, not nearly as well taken care of as the more affluent cities and state capitals. Yes, Appalachian Mountains. Appalachia is a region between the eastern coast and Midwest, traditionally impoverished and undereducated people live there. If you search hillbilly, yeah, I've heard this hillbilly thingy. Okay, well, you learn something new every day. But yeah, I wasn't expecting like this to be a unique thing. I mean, it's urbanization, and of course some regions would get underdeveloped, and especially like you have to actually put your mind to fix all these regions, to keep them healthy and strong, basically. And this is a work that has to be done, and it's unpopular work. It's easier to do stuff, especially with what's it called? With the current economical structure, basically, of US and other countries as well. It's simpler to put money where more money comes back, and all the other stuff. Hillbilly, yeah, by the way, I've heard this from the movies and such. But it's like a limbo that consumes all of the other areas of Russia with a little to no like good spots of active and bright people. But it's I don't know, it's a complicated topic. It's hard to compare, especially, but I guess many things are very comparable. And to see a person like come up into a open-minded person from a very similar or even a harder environment, it's I don't know, like a catharsis almost. 1420 channel sometimes goes to poor villages and the people seem very ill-informed. It's ill-informed is it's yeah, they are barely informed at all. I mean, the best thing that they might have is a TV, and the internet is Russian internet rather is full of these videos of Russian children, young people. Just I will search for it. Right? I can explain and tell you all the stories I can, like I want to, and it's just words. But I think I'm better off just showing them to you. Yes, I'm searching for a video right now for you to show of. It's always not easy to find as quickly as I hoped it to. But let me see. I'll find it. Like what I'm talking about is just these rural towns, and people live in these just buildings falling apart, like one story building, with personal property, right? Yeah, I found one of those. I hope audio is coming, but I guess you won't need one. Are you seeing this, by the way? No, I haven't switched. I'm sorry. Do you hear the audio right now? So this is a common situation in a rural city. Just a young guy, a boy, in his birthday party with his family, and they are telling him that well, you should grow up as a good boy with get a good degree and stuff like this. And he's adding like, and that I would get internet, and the grandma is saying, internet, no freaking way, we are not even gonna, like, this is a mom, we are not even gonna talk about this, in no way. You will live without internet, I have lived without internet, my mother has lived without internet, like everybody lived before that without internet, so you will as well.
Thank you.
Very simple but very effective, as I say. Okay, no audio. No audio. Okay. Uh, I've missed a couple of messages. Hello, everyone. What's the topic today? Hello, Zoe. Happy to see you. The topic is we're very mixed. I started off by talking about the earthquake. I ended up talking about the internet. It's very mixed up, but there is some logic between all of this. Like, this is just one of these videos. It's people like drinking in front of the child. It's a very common thing. Like, it's a very common thing. No, it's a reason to drink for grown-ups if their children have a birthday party, and that's it. If anything goes out of this box, or it's no way it's gonna happen, or it's wrong, or it's or all the other stuff. People are very limited, so seeing a person like Ilya is like a sight for sore eyes. Yep. I had another idea, but I guess I'll maybe once it starts to fall into place, I will tell you what's it gonna be. But about the stream, the podcast, rather. You don't mean like a glass of wine or two? A glass of wine. Well, wine is not very popular in Russia. It's if it's like
Luxury.
it's a type of a luxury drink, and you might be drinking something like this at a wedding, or at a religious for religious reasons, because red wine is okay to drink for Christians of Orthodox religion in some ways. But yeah, it's just it's way cheaper to drink vodka. It works. I mean, you would buy wine for women, for example, but for a man in Russia to drink wine, you must be gay. Like, that's what people think, like, really.
It's true.
In these rural cities, and nobody drinks a beer at a party in Russia. If you're drinking a beer, I mean a party like a birthday or anything like this, because it's something you drink in front of a TV while watching Putin, but not watching Putin during the New Year's Eve holiday. So no, wine is not common. Most of the time they drink some kind of highly alcoholic beverage of 30 to 50 degrees. Degrees? Is that a proof? I guess. Yeah. But I guess you catch my drift. No. I'm pretty sure it's what they make, by the way. They make not watered down, but like a cocktail of vodka plus
Juice?
cherry juice, or cranberry juice,
Orange juice.
orange juice. It's like
It's a classic.
elite drink. Almost, but yeah, it's a common thing. Yeah, I see Zoe. Yeah, you must. Beer with pizza or barbecue is kind of the low cost version of wine with dinner in the USA. Ah, I've missed a couple of messages as well. I'm sorry. As someone who lived the first 30 years of life without internet sucks. Well, yeah, there are things that are amazing about internet. Some things are not great. It's a trade-off in a way, but if the internet is used correctly, it's a very fair trade-off, and it can be managed properly. I will explain this thought in a bit. In society without ability to look up facts easily, you had so many alcoholics simply taking your time up by asserting random theories. Yeah. Percent. Yeah, I guess that's percentage, right? It's not percent. Is it percentage? Because it goes higher than 100. So I'm not exactly sure that it's percentage. Anyway, it's proof, I guess. Yeah. Yeah, no, beer or with pizza or barbecue. Low cost version of wine with dinner in the USA. Yeah, it's beer is, as I see, it's popular. It's very popular in Russia as well. Don't keep any illusions. It's not a drink for partying. Not in Russia. Like, if you would drink beer, you are like a loser or and I don't know, like, Карин, кто будет на тусовке пиво пить?
Пиво? Пиво пьют в основном всякие такие маргинальные челы.
Like панки?
Либо хипстеры, такие,
Ну,
которые пьют крафтовые.
Я про советские вот эти вот стандарты, а не про современные веяния.
Ну, в основном это такой рабочий класс.
На вечеринке? Дне рождения?
Да.
Рабочий
Потому
класс?
что если день рождения, то обычно берут как бы... Девочки берут шампанское девочкам, мужики берут коньяк.
Вот, коньяк, коньяк.
Да, а такие пиво, либо это чуваки, которым нельзя по какой-то причине крепкий алкоголь, они пьют пиво, либо это маргиналы, которые прямо ушатываются пивом, прямо глушат его, и оно плохого качества. И есть еще третий.
Ну, типа, это все равно, это типа подстыдно. Я имею в виду вот старым стандартом.
Значит, это ты, скорее всего, ты алкоголик, поэтому ты пьешь.
Вот. Yeah, okay. So, yeah, it's another proof. I've gained another opinion. So the opinion is, by the way, cognac is very popular in Russia for men, especially. Women drink it as well, but there's like a separation. Like, there's a reason why that the Russian general public dislikes this new wave of sexual preferences and people talking about them. And it's a debatable topic, right? But overall, like, people are homophobic like crazy in Russia, and it goes through people of all ages, and there is like a sexism for alcoholic beverages in Russian.
Oh yeah.
So it's you can't really go cross it one way or the other without everyone noticing it, especially men. Like, if you're a woman drinking plain vodka,
Это конкурент.
you're either like a serious, like a bro almost, or you're a whore, like something like this. There is no like middle ground in here. It's that's it. One way the so not like a bro, by the way. Like a woman who drinks vodka should be way more powerful than the man. Like her appearance, not almost physical as well, by the way. If you will see this video, this woman that is at the head of the table, she's not particularly small, and she's probably drinking down water, juiced down like cognac or vodka. Cognac is like a bit of a, better quality vodka, like something like
Low
this.
quality
But
brandy.
reality is not the cognac that Europe drinks. Like, no, it's cognac that is produced and has been produced for a very long time by the Armenia. It's the best cognac that you can drink in Russia, as most people think, is from Armenia, and it has been, well, quite good back in USSR, and this is, by the way, I think is the only region on the whole planet that allows the use of the name cognac in the whole world, like France and Armenia. But of course it's a different thing, and it has been getting worse since the since the end of Soviet Union. But yeah, so you have, first off, let's start with the beer. Like, beer is people who drink beer at parties are either alcoholics or alcoholics. Like, there is no other choice. You might be like drinking beer if you have some problems with your stomach or something like this, but everybody would doubt this. They would think, this might be the reason, but probably not. The other thing is that, so yeah, if you have no problems, then you must be an alcoholic to drink beer. That's simple, yeah, because if you would have been a man, a normal man, as people say, you are supposed to drink vodka or cognac. No choice here. And of course, as well, one minor detail, that if you are drinking vodka or cognac, a real man, as everyone tries to, not everyone, but so many of Russians try to present themselves, they would never add ice to it or dilute it with anything. Like, nothing. Just plain cognac and plain vodka. You can, what's it called, закусить, that means in Russian, to eat something afterwards you drink, like a cucumber, or like maybe a peach if you're drinking cognac and you are very you have a lot of money, right? You are like almost like crazy rich. You would eat a peach and drink cognac, or
Crazy rich. In November.
In November, by the way, yeah. For example, because peaches don't really grow in much of the Russian territory, but
Где-то в этом, в районе Анапы, Краснодар, там растут, но как бы не в
yeah, we have a couple of regions that have like almost Serbian or even hotter temperatures, and they grow there, and they produce most of the fruits to the whole country. But you know, the size of Russia and the underdevelopment of these roads and stuff, they make all these products very it takes them too long to get to the buyer, so it would cost a lot and it would just feel horrible. But anyway, that's quite stronger than beer. Yep, that is. Is beer in Russia kvass? No, kvass is not even considered like a alcoholic beverage, but classically made kvass, which is quite rare, it has up to 3% of alcohol, but it's rarely made. Most of the time people buy kvass, they buy this Achakova kvass, which is the like possibly number one sold. It's not a live kvass, so live kvass is the best. I think you can make it at home, by the way. Maybe I would make a recipe for it. I guess I will try to find one, but it's a weird drink, and it's like it's really weird. It's watery bread and rye bread, but it's a bit sweet and it's a bit bitter, and it's very refreshing. And with live kvass you could manage the amount of sugar it has, because in a way that they have live what are they, not bacteria, but like fungus, I guess, and it eats up the sugar and produces carbon dioxide as bubbles, and it also, well, if you want more bubbles, you keep it for a longer time unopened, and it would eat more sugar, and it, you know, all the other jazz. And if it has too little of the gases, you would add a little bit of sugar and it would make gas. So it's kind of cool, you know, and some companies now sell it as a live product right now. And as well, these bacteria produce alcohol, I think. Yeah, or bacteria or whatever. I will look it up and may possibly make a video about it, but it's kind of interesting. And I've seen also a couple of videos of Americans trying kvass for the first time, and it made me sad, by the way, because well, they were almost puking, and some of them, but of course they have cut out the normal parts where people act normally, but all the kvass that was present was just horrible. This kvass tastes bad, so I don't drink this kvass, and no one, I would imagine, would, like, no person respecting himself would drink such kvass. Anyway, so yeah, it's labeled as non-alcoholic, even though it's well, it has a bit of alcohol in it. It's just what we call it in UK. So a bottle of wine will B say 12% proof. Yeah. Proof indicates alcohol content by percentage. Yeah, it's like by percentage, but it's not apparently by percentage because it can go over 100. I've heard like 130 proof alcohol. It's like almost disintegrating as you're dripping it on something, spilling it. If Russia is so homophobic, why is it the most famous in the world for the best ballet dancers to ever exist? I guess, as the English say, pressure builds diamonds.
Это точно, блядь. Чего-чего, а пресса у нас хватает.
Yeah. Karina says, we had quite a lot of things, but pressure is one of the most abundant. In Europe, there is for a decade or more now a fad for craft beers. There is no town without its own beer, even in Serbia. Yeah, it's the same. For example, in Moscow, it's in St. Petersburg has been booming for the last at least 10 to 15, maybe 20 years. About 20 years, 15 maybe. It's a bit slow to the whole popularity thing of beer. My friend's grandmother made kvass. It was delicious, but it made us a bit tipsy. Yeah, classic kvass is beer. It's just a type of beer. Without the khmel, I don't know what's it called in English. This green thingies, right? Don't know about Serbia. I presume they also have kvass. In Croatia, we have gvirnik, gvirk, или gvirc, gvirk, which is Croatia. I guess it's gvirk, which is more honey and wine based and has alcohol in it. Okay, so it's honey and wine based. It's a mix. If I'm understanding it correctly. Really didn't know. Okay. Yeah, it has almost as at a beer level. We were kids then, lol. Where's Karina? Can we say hello to her? She's studying right now and making.
What?
People say that they want to see.
Me?
Yes.
Oh my god, I'm
no.
not in.
She doesn't have her hair up.
Yeah.
So I guess that's a no. Anyway, maybe some other time. Hello, Karina, says Baldrick's turnip. Or Bold Rick Sturnip. Anyway, yeah.
It's a perfect nickname.
Yeah, perfect nickname. That's right. It's a very interesting nickname. Yeah, so to continue my story with alcohol. So you have beer goes like almost out of the window because only alcoholics drink beer. Vodka and cognac is for men and during parties, I mean, and for like stone cold strong women, and also the next thing, and for women, like for gentle women, there is what do they drink? Well, now in the 21st century, after USA. They drink martini, or what else? Champagne, yes, fizzly wine, and спасибо. What else? Fizzly wine, by the way, has been produced in Soviet Union for quite a long time. So it shouldn't like. And wine was produced mostly by Armenians and something similar. What? What? And that's almost about it. Women are allowed to add juice to their drinks, but if a man adds juice, he is like weak. He's considered a weak man. Yeah. And also Russians, they eat, but they party. These parties are, there is a lot of food on the tables. It's very common to make more food than people would consume. It's a gesture that is common in Russia. It's not verbally presented, but it's very common. And Russian classic women produce a lot of food from the kitchen. They produce food, not cook it, but it's how it's said generally in ex-USSR. I mean, even I was working as a chef, and it's very common to say things that you're a production worker, if I would translate it from Russian. Food production worker, and not a cook. It's still hot. We can look forward to a surprise cameo from Karina in the future. Yeah. Sauces. Kvass is super rare in the USA. Many Americans think rye is scary. Yeah, it's uncommon apparently in American culture, as I guess. Either they hate the taste or they think toxic fungus grows in it. Toxic fungus grows in it. It's, I don't know. Maybe this is true, but in Russia has somewhat of a similar temperature and stuff and humidity. But the US is Russia is a bit colder. I guess maybe this is one of the problems.
I make my hair.
Okay, show yourself, Karina.
Hello there. It's me. Bye.
Anyway, she was a bit scared. Everyone is saying hello. Either they hate the taste or they think toxic fungus grows in it. Yeah. I like rye bread. I mean, to use one type of what's it called, grain for bread is kind of weird for me. I always lived in a well, in Russia we always have a choice. It's very common, black or white bread. It's and in my household we would always have both, and as well there is a gray bread, as it's called, with integral integral blah, 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 blah. I guess you get what I'm coming at. So it's white, but it looks gray in comparison. So it's like 3 types of bread, and I don't know. I like the choice, and especially with like borscht. It's way better with rye bread. I mean, the contrast, the borscht is quite sweet and a bit bitter, I guess, or something like this. And the bread is like it completes the palate, the rye bread with borscht. How popular are drinks like Zima, Smirnov, Ice, etc.? Very popular, especially drinks like Zima. Smirnov is it's on the higher costing side of products. In Russia there is like a lot of vodkas, and they have very different quality. Some of them, and many of them, is just diluted chemical alcohol with water, and with all the stuff Russia has, well, it's still trying to make cheaper and cheaper vodka as it goes. Even the high, it seems pricey vodkas are using basically chemically produced alcohol. I mean, for example, even though Smirnov is considered pricey, and it is pricey, like it's almost 2 times at least, or 3 times more costly than the cheaper version per liter, for example. You can buy like at least half a liter of vodka for €1, maybe even up to a liter of cheap vodka. So people are like, what the hell? Kvass, yep, okay. We eat rye bread every day. That's our bread. Yeah, it's cool. It's a completely different thing, is it not? It tastes different. It's very different. How popular? Yeah, it's expensive here. Those hard drinks, vodka. It's cheap. It's mostly of very low quality. Some people make rakia. Oh yeah, rakia here, by the way. Yeah, it's very popular. I see it, and I've tasted it. So our host, he has these a couple of bottles, let's say, and they are not bought from a shop. They are produced by his friends in very, very limited amounts, and they are of very high quality. Serbia might be considered Europe's capital of rakia. Beer is common at the parties. Yeah, but as we're talking about Russia and its presumptions about sexual preferences and stuff. I mean, most of Russia believes that Europe is like the capital of homosexuality, and so I guess that fits in, right? Oh my god, it's ridiculous. What's my favorite drink, Alex? Alex is me, so I will answer the question. The drink. Well, that's a good question. I'm not exactly. I wouldn't call myself a fan of alcoholic beverages, like in general, but I do drink them sometimes in very limited amounts. And one of the things is that my head might hurt from, and I'm not talking about like, oh, I've drank 15 liters of beer and now my head hurts. Of course it would hurt, like so much poison. How would you imagine nothing to hurt afterwards? Now I'm talking about like a bottle, for example, of beer, and my head would hurt, like in sometimes within a couple of minutes. So I have this very weak head for an alcoholic, but some, by the way, alcoholic drinks don't have this effect, so I would be able to drink like a fair amount of them and, well, to feel the effect and would not get the headache. And I also know a couple of methods to help my organism not to feel dehydrated. I mean, for example, like drink water, not vodka. But yeah, so it's hard to answer. A couple of answering a question by Boldrick. I have drank a couple of beers recently that were made in around Serbia and whatnot. And these beers were like really good. The name, I don't remember the name exactly, and it wasn't at random that I've chose these bottles. Someone who has like the taxi driver that came from that I was talking about a couple of streams before that. Anyway, he said this was a good choice, and it was dark stout beer, a dark stout, and it was really good, like a rye bread almost. And nothing hurt afterwards, and so it was good. A good beer sometimes is real good and real fun, maybe. Other than that, I like wine in general. So I'm not exactly fitting into these Russian parties, but I'm not like against drinking. I think that the quality of alcohol is very important, and it doesn't really matter what type of alcohol it is, but in general my head hurts more because of undistilled alcoholic beverages like beer and stuff, and higher percentage and better distilled works better for me. But good wine is white wine most of the time, I guess. Thank you, guys. Have you tried some of Serbia's beers? Yeah, I've answered this one. Maybe a sensitivity or allergy to certain ingredients in them, like yeast or barley, if you're okay with some but not the others. Yeah, it's doesn't seem like an allergy. So not really, but apparently alcohol is like it seems like complicated, uncomplicated. You have this alcohol and you can count it like 1, 2, 3, but I guess so, and it works sometimes, but it has this a lot of types of alcohols, like about 10 or something like this, and every drink is a balance of those, and they are each a bit different, and some people have what it takes to process all this stuff in their organ intestines, and some don't. And as well, there is a different thing that is how you acknowledge and feel your body and stuff. And some people, for example, don't feel the signals of pain as much as others do, for example. And some people just have stronger organism in general, and they're like unkillable almost. Because in Russia there are people who drink what's it called, like this stuff to clean glass and windows, or to stuff that you add into your what's it called, chainsaw, like all the other different chemicals basically that would burn, but people drink them, and they are like, of course their body feels it from years and years of drinking it, but they feel fine. I don't know. Wine is quite common here at dinners, especially at the coast, and on the continent people mix white wine with sparkling water to reduce the effects of alcohol. Yeah, by the way, I've heard that the right way, the ancient Greek way to drink wine was actually to dilute it with water, and it was considered barbaric when the Romans drank it as is. So Romans apparently copied almost everything they could from ancient Greeks, but some things were changed, and this was one of them. And of course, the Romans were popular with drinking and eating, and then puking and going it all over again to enjoy their life to infinity, I guess. And this was like madness for ancient Greeks, apparently. I don't know. That's what I heard. I haven't been there. Seems very logical. But yeah, wine is now it's I guess it's like in Russia, people in these rural countries, they are not open to moving anywhere else, even inside Russia. And once some changes happen, like for example, more types of alcohol arrive at their tiny, overgrown by trees and town, right? They would like be happier because, oh, good changes are happening. So thank you, Putin, for that. Like it's almost exact words. I'm not making this from just my mind, but I guess you can see a lot of this similar stuff on the channel 1420. This guy, I mean, he has the some balls to do this stuff. I don't know. I'm not feeling exactly in the right. He has to talk to so much people on the streets. He has some internal motivation to do this. It's like I guess I don't know. He is trying. It's a show, like in a way that he's trying to rise up, raise some questions that should be raised, so people would at least have a chance to think about something and talk about it and accept it. And so he would like put these grains that would sometime later possibly grow in their heads, these ideas. I don't know, maybe this is what he is doing. That's my feeling of it all. But anyway, back to alcohol. Greeks have a very fine sort of rakia called ouzo. I guess it's called, or something. Ouzo. It sounds when I'm saying it as if I'm like speaking Japanese. And Metaxa brandy, which was very popular as a gift in 90s and 80s. Metaxa brandy. Metaxa brandy. Does it have anything to do with the Metaxa, Almeca and all this stuff? Let me check. Maybe it's just... But it's a brandy, I mean, yeah, it's a... yeah, no, it doesn't. Yeah. That's basically cognac, because it's... but it's brandy, because it's not in... Ouzo. Because it's not made in Cognac in France. Like? What, Cognac?
Нет, like, да, что ты знаешь, что коньяк это конкретная фиксированная к местоположению вещь.
I tip my hand to you. Head. It's also fine. Head is also fine. Yeah. But anyway, I don't know, by the way, how to fix what's going on with the YouTube with you not being notified. It's kinda strange, I guess. But I hope maybe it will fix itself. Maybe I would... by the way, do you get notifications when I write posts like I wrote today? I see only 2 likes, and one of them is mine. So I guess it's it didn't get much of a traction at all. So that's a question to you. No notification. Sometimes you get a notification. No notification for the post for me. No. Okay, that's interesting. Okay. What's going on? Reconnection successful.
Все хорошо, у меня и раздаю.
Okay, all is fixed, I guess. Okay, thank you for answering. That's good to know. I thought that if I write posts, at least I guess if you ever scroll YouTube, it would come up, and some people might see it. but no notification. Okay, that's good to know. Okay. Whew. Yeah, the whole story was alcohol with in Russia. It's it's a kind of love story. If you like Spanish TV reality, no, like TV shows or soap operas, there's like soap TV shows. I don't know. That's what's happening in Russia with alcohol, because it's definitely something that most people are okay with, and they get okay with it by seeing all this stuff. Just at first you are born in, and you get no attention, mostly British. Yeah, I mean those like Latin. What? No. Latino. Latino shows where hot and very explosive women and men just go crazy at each other, and all these emotions, they come out to the screen, right? And about the same stuff happens with alcohol in Russia. So people are like no emotions on their faces, in their lives, like soap operas, I guess. Yeah. They have these faces of sadness and like gruesome. I don't know how to explain it. I guess everyone knows these Russian faces when they see one. We had those, but the Turks soon took over the soap opera scene. Yeah. They are very popular in Russia as well. The Turks. Like a funny video. Yeah, it's funny when you see something like this happen once or twice or maybe 10 times tops, but when it's years and years, it's happening to everybody around you, you have two choices: either to hate it and hate yourself for hating it, because nobody hates it, and nobody, if they do, nobody talks about hating it or anything similar, or you have to accept it. That's it. And if you accept it, you can either make fun of it or take it seriously. And most people take it seriously and accept it. And therefore, you grow up as a child in this this environment, as in the video you've seen. So this guy's boy is already feeling the the lack of attention, of actual attention to the ideas and feelings of this young person growing up. But you have these grown-ups that are called that are trying to find as much, I guess, ways to drink as they possibly can, because like it's in the culture of Russians very deeply, even in the culture of Putin and his friends. Like you would think, oh, they live such a glorious life. They live exactly the same in this manner. It's shocking how this prevails within Russian, I guess, general thinking. so these people would like make millions of dollars monthly, and they would still act out as if, I mean, I've been to one of parties like these guys. So they are ex special forces of Russia, like I would say ex Russian forces. That is the best of the best. Like maybe not the best, but the best of the best. So it's a very limited amount of people, and they are already ex-soldiers of this type, but they have now made business, and the guys they have worked with all these years, they still have these strong connections with them. So they would, well, apart from the fact that they would continue acting out as, well, boys, which is whatever, you can do whatever you want, even though you're like 60 years 60 years old. It's your life. But the thing was that shocked me was they make like obnoxious amounts of money with barely legal businesses, if legal. So most businesses in Russia, they make illegal things legal afterwards. They do them first, and then they make documents to support its legality. It's a very common strategy in Russia, especially it's on all levels, but mostly at the top, from the middle to the top. So and these guys, they have this party, and they have this 18 to 20 to 25 year old not even brandy, cognac and whiskey, and this wine that is like a couple of $1,000 a bottle, and they have it like no, not wine, because the wine was there for women, right? There were a couple of women, and they have the same. They could have anything they want, and they have the same candy, the same candy that people have, on these. Well, like in a video like this, people in tiny towns, they have no money to buy anything else, and they still buy this candy. Like they put it. I don't know. It's kind of strange. It wouldn't be as strange to see something like this for a person of a different culture, but here, it just, I don't know, it feels weird. It's like, I guess it's nostalgia. But what kind of nostalgia is this? It kind of let's see, I will translate it. It's not like, I don't know, they have these things that they've used, and when they were children, and maybe I like toys or something like this, which is, it's nostalgic, right? But this thing that everyone eats, it's if they are trying to prove that to themselves, that they are still these people. And it kinda, like, they are making money by, not exactly by illegal ways, and not like selling drugs, like selling a product, right? But not to, but it's apart from all the things, they're like stealing businesses, and racketing, and it's, I don't know, it's kinda, it felt kinda off to me. I don't know why exactly I started telling this story, but yeah, here it is. It's kinda off. And it's a similar, I guess, thing, like kind of nostalgia all over Russia. People from USSR are nostalgic about USSR, and it's a very popular thing that products that were made back then, some of them are still being produced, at least visually, as the same. Some of them are still the same, and quite a lot of them are being redone completely. So I mean, redone as a product, so the company would and the production would cease for decades, and they would bring it back up. I don't know, like the whole country is very nostalgic. I guess this is how our president plays his cards, pushing on these buttons. But nothing improves. That's the fun thing. Not really fun, but the strangest thing. Nothing really improves. Anyway, it's very strange, but not unheard of in the Balkans. Yeah. Yeah, I would imagine it's not like a unique to Russia thing, but we're all the same. That's the point. We all have the same feelings, but our cultures, well, they're similar. They push on similar buttons, and our emotions are the same. But the percentage, the ways in which these buttons are pressed, how often they do, like. Yeah. Yeah, I guess it's nothing bad about it. It's the worst part is not that, oh no, they produce the product that has been produced. Well, whatever, it's like it's business. If it sells, it sells. But the problem is why? The thing that gets me is the fact that nothing new appears at people's tables. Nothing new. They are so enclosed in their thinking. It's so easy to do anything with them. It's like they're open to it. Yeah, there's some people still pine for those times. Oh yeah, what a fun time that was, right? Yugoslavia, USSR. I mean, whoo, yeah. Not having real money, having limited amounts of production because everything should be produced in exact amounts, even though people steal stuff and resell it. Even though people need that stuff, even though people want that stuff and they don't want other stuff, we would still produce it in the exact amount, because why would you need more? We know everything that you are supposed to need. You're supposed to need. Off topic, is there a famous classic era Soviet movie where a man burns his hand in an oven, like act of self-punishment? Карин, вопрос. Знатоки, внимание, вопрос. Um, is there a famous classic era Soviet movie where a man burns his hand in an oven, like as an act of self-punishment? Coins with three digits. That's crazy. I mean,
Не знаю, надо загуглить.
we will think about it and check some information and come back to it. No problem. Yeah. This whole I just
Левиафан.
maybe. Are you sure that's an old era movie? Do you have like a moment of it in your head, or like you've seen something like this in on YouTube or whatever? Sources. That's question to you. Was black market bigger in the Soviet times than in Putin time? Oh wow, I heard it's very common, this stuff. Like there was barely any way to get anything, and knowing a guy who knows a guy is the only way you could exist. Like the only way. That's a whole point. One of the multiple reasons, but possibly the most important reason why this whole system couldn't work is because when you place in too much laws, then you can't. Then people, there are plenty of people, any time of year, any time, any civilization, any socium, there are people who enjoy and whose role, or they choose that role or whatever, is to break the rules. And it's vitally important for society to have this. Like these people are oh yeah, they break laws, they maybe drive too fast or something like this at times, but most of the time what we're talking about is people who move products from one place to another, move people who get, like, I don't know, black market, products. And it's at any time it's vital for these people to exist. They cover multiple elements of society and they help a lot of people, by the way, even though government says it's wrong. It's like for example, what is happening with weed in USA. All these people were being jailed, and now weed is becoming legal, legalized, and the amount of people breaking the law with regards to that, at least with regards to that, and also drunk driving and all the other stuff. I'm not gonna go into depth with it, but the general thing is the overall amount of people breaking the law lowers. And the same thing with the Soviet Union. You had a reason and a law for almost every single thing. Like, you can't produce more of these vases because somebody said so. That's it. If you have more vases, you have to, I don't know, throw them out, break them, or whatever, hide them so no one will see. That's ridiculous. There are people who would need them, and you can't put them out into the market. So yeah, of course, it's as I've heard as well, black market was huge, and even my parents were using some elements of that, and it was very common. Faking documents, faking money, faking, especially faking documents. It was very bureaucratic country back then. Russia is still very bureaucratic, by the way. You have to have almost so many documents for many things, but it kind of decreases a bit more and more over time. But back then, like, you can't move to the other city unless you were proven by like this guy, and you have to have a paper proving that you were approved, and you have to have like a additional paper to prove, so on and so forth. So of course everyone is buying all this. Even now it's very popular, like very popular, to buy false what's they called spravka in Russian. It's a thing. You go to it, you work and you miss a couple of days because of you're ill, so you have to get a doctor signed document that says that you were ill with this for this time, therefore you couldn't have been going to the work. And these things, even now, are being bought. There's like a market for that. I've used some of these things personally, and well, it's still very popular, black market. But I guess less so now. It's like very hard to find people who actually do something interesting. But we have internet. One of the things that is very popular about Russia in general is the Onion network black markets, where you can buy documents, drugs, guns, and all the other stuff. It's heard of, I guess you could say. So it's hard to really tell, because now it's centralized and you can really count the heads, so to say. Yeah. As for example, a couple of years ago, one of such a black markets went down with thousands of, well, like about 1,000 or so. I don't remember the exact number of dealers and such that were captured in countries with in different countries as well as in Russia with Bitcoin money, like millions, and some of them hundreds of millions of dollars in Bitcoin. And well, new like a couple of weeks passed and the new black market appeared. It's hard to tell. I don't know. I'm not an expert in this, but as far as I'm heard, back in Soviet times, everybody knew a little somebody, unless they were like the rat who would rat everyone out. And there were plenty of people like this. Okay, my throat is starting to get sore. So I will be ending the stream very soon. Не нашла фильм?
Нет. Это жесткое описание. Вообще, можно хотя бы примерно
описание
режиссера, например, или там актера, или еще какие-то детали, может быть, основную сюжетную линию. Это просто, self-harm это в России норм. Это может быть в очень многих фильмах.
I had friends who saw it in Moscow on TV around 1992 and never stopped talking about it. Well, yeah, we don't know exactly what, but like maybe we will find later on. I will ask my parents, for example. They might know what I'm talking about, or what you talking about rather. Yeah, it's interesting to try to find that out. It sounds like everyday life in Russia is so difficult. Uh, there is like a feeling where I live in Russia, what I see in people's eyes is as if they have this transparent what's it called, like a lid um, on top of them, like surrounding all the people around them as well as all of the environment. So it's completely transparent. You can only feel it, but it breaks the air travel, so it's the air is stale, and not many things are changing, and as if there is like it's a fake space or something like this. I don't know, as if there is no wind, and it's all around. The nature is amazing, as Ilya said in the podcast. It's amazing in many ways, so many things to see. But this feeling is especially prevailing in by Baldrick. In cities, in towns, and the smaller a town is, the lower the ceiling is. And in Moscow, it's a very high ceiling, maybe a bit over the height of the highest buildings in Moscow, like Moscow City, as it's called, for example, like 50, 60 stories high. But you can still feel it. Yeah, it's higher, but it's never going away, it seems. And yeah, there are these everyday things that are, well, there are multiple countries with these bad things happening all around them, right? Not many in Europe, and I don't know. It's hard in this way, not seeing perspectives, as if everything you do has no meaning. It's hard. It's hard. No results, no actual results, no point to move, unless just surviving. I don't know. For simple people, it's that don't allow themselves to break the common laws of morality. It's very hard. Is crypto technically legal in Russia? Legal, kind of a gray area. As far as I know, it's well, it's like legal, kinda like it's between legal and gray area. So it's not supported by the government in any way, but the government acknowledges that it can move it's one of the ways it can launder and move money. So it's kind of a problem that so many money is moving in front of their noses, but they can do the same as well. So they're on the fence. It's hard to tell. Things may change any moment. Thanks for an interesting salon. That's salon. Thank you for coming. Thanks for another fun stream. Thank you. Yep. Okay, guys. Thank you, Jan. Thank you, Sauces. Thank you, Boldrick, Zoe, Lala, David, like everyone who have called and who have forget to call me, everyone who talked and who has been here. Thank you very much. It was fun. 2.5 hours long. This is the longest one yet. Okay, guys, thank you very much. Whew. I'm gonna go off to eat something. Feeling sleepy already. Bye bye, ciao, до свидания, добро вечер. Good night, good evening, good morning, possibly, to those of you in Australia. Bye bye. Thank you.